Men, if you have a little bit of an understanding about the muscle, you will understand every exercise in the gym. You will be able to navigate from the worst exercises possible to the average exercises, and hopefully to the exercises that are best suited for you. Why is this important? Maximising the productivity of our gym sessions is one of the most important things that we should be aiming to do. There is a lot of gym coaches out there that will give you the top 5 exercises on upper body, the top 5 Why are them exercises better, other than the reason that you're saying? So, what you are going to get from this video, we are going to take a little bit of a dive into what the muscle actually does, where the muscles are attached, and the direction in which the muscle fibers run, and why this is all important, and how you can use that information and bring it into your own training sessions. This will give you so much confidence in the gym. I can guarantee it. And there's nobody that's teaching this stuff, because coaches nowadays want to sell you their program. I'm an online coach myself. Nobody is teaching this. So I would rather you have full independence over your own training. I would rather you not have to come to me. Anyway, who am I? My name is Paul Green, and I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces Support Group operator. I've spent most of the past decade specialising as a physical training instructor, in which I have delivered physical training to thousands of elite individuals and all the way to people that are unfit, varying from people that are young all the way 40s, 50s and 60s year old. I've also worked with people that are just recovering from injury and got them back up to scratch. So I do know a little bit about physical training, so hopefully my words actually, resonate with you a little bit more with that insight. That is why you should listen, and you shouldn't just listen to this. You should be taking notes, because this stuff is gold dust, I tell you now. This stuff I still use when I'm a little bit stuck in the gym. I'm like, I can't really feel that exercise. I literally use these 3 things every single time. So, let's get straight into it. The plan of action for this video. We need to understand what the muscle does. And we need to understand how an exercise is used to work a muscle in a certain way. And fundamentally, will it help with your longevity? So we get to the muscle. There is 3 types of muscle: skeletal, smooth and cardiac. I'm not talking about smooth or cardiac today. I'm focusing on skeletal muscle. That is the muscle that is attached to your skeleton. What does the muscle do? Where is it attached? Which direction do the fibers run? And the shortening and lengthening of the fibers. This is a video I've dragged, I'm using off Muscle and Motion. Muscle and Motion is unbelievable. It shows you where the muscles are attached and which direction the fibers run. And it also takes you through a bunch of exercises. This, for me, is absolutely phenomenal for explaining stuff like this. So, I thought it'd be useful for you to actually watch. Right, okay, straight away we have the pec muscle. And you can see the pec muscle is attached to the upper humerus, which is the upper arm. And on the other side, it's attached to the sternum. And the fibers run laterally, like this. So, all the exercises that you see in the gym are, one way or another, trying to maximise the stimulus of this muscle. So, how do we shorten? I'm going to go through it now. How do we shorten this muscle? How do we get it from being this wide to like this, if it's attached to the humerus and attached to the sternum? You can see that the humerus is going closer to the centre line. What that's creating is it's creating an extreme shortening. When your humerus is right across, the centre line, your chest squeezes a lot. How many of you are actually doing this level of shortening of the pectoral muscles to strengthen the chest? Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. Most exercises in the gym focuses predominantly on the lengthening, the shortening of a movement. With dumbbells, you can't really get the shortening of the movement. Look at how these exercises show the fibres in the lengthened position predominantly, and these fibres don't really show a massive shortening of the muscle fibres. Again, bench press exercise. The fibres go really long because the humerus goes behind the centre line and then it comes up into the top position. But we are missing out on the shortening of the muscle fibres. So this is kind of it's only working, maybe half the rep. Again with the dips, the humerus comes back. Big stretching of the chest, and we have to get out of that position, which shortens the muscle slightly, but it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work, the shortening of the muscle. Why am I saying all this stuff? All I'm doing is just giving you an awareness. If you understand the muscle, what that muscle does, where it's attached, in which direction the fibres run, you will understand every single exercise in the gym, right? And shortening of the and lengthening. So there's going to be some exercises in the gym. Predominantly, you want to prioritise full range of motion, because full range of motion will improve your mobility as well. However, there is going to be times when you're fucking tired and your second exercise in, you might want to focus on the shortening range. So typically I will try and do a full range of motion exercise to start with, and then I'll focus on the shortening, and then my next exercise I'll be focusing on the lengthening, and then I might finish with an exercise that does both. Do you understand? As long as you have the awareness of this is what the fibres are meant to be doing, the path that I'm meant to be following, the muscle fibres basically give you an arrow saying this is the direction in which you must train me. So there's been many a times I've been in the gym with my mates and I've got Google up and I'm like, where are the fibres here? Which direction do the fibres run? Especially for your back muscles. Do you know what I mean? The job of the traps is to manage the shoulder blades, the movement of the shoulder blades. Like you can see the shoulder blades now coming in. That is the traps in their shortened position. Look at the fibres there, right? Look at the fibres there. It's mental. So if I said to you, how do you work the traps? This stuff, nobody teaches this stuff, right? Bring your shoulder blades together. So then you've got to think, how can I bring my shoulder blades together under load? Under an exercise which can be loaded in order to really improve the stimulus of this area of muscle. So these are the questions you need to ask yourself. What is the muscle attached to? Like you can see here, the traps are attached to the shoulder blade, the inner part of the shoulder blade, and they're also attached to the spine. How do we shorten and lengthen that muscle? And what direction are the fibres running in? Honestly, so let this play. Have another mouthful. Like you can see there, this is not me saying you should do this exercise. This is me just giving you a little bit of theory in order for you to make your own decisions. So with that in mind, how do we bring that into the real world? So like I touched on there, can the exercises you are currently doing be improved? And what I mean by this is, let's say for example you have a certain 3 or 4 or 5 go-to exercises. You do them because it feels good. Now you are equipped with just channeling it a little bit and really improving whether they not whether they feel good, but whether they are actually good. So now you can question whether the exercise selection that you have chose in the past are following the direction of the fibres. If they are not following the direction of the fibres, you are not going to get a smooth shortening and lengthening of the muscle. And are you primarily working on full range of motion? There's a lot of people in the gym, like especially old school lifters and that, and you might see them in the gym and they're just focusing on the shortening. Now, that's okay as long as they're aware of it. Like, if you've seen somebody who is really like lifting heavy dumbbells on bicep curls and they are going slowly on the way down, but then they're swinging it up, they're clearly not interested in the shortening of the bicep. They're clearly focusing on the lengthening. And the lengthening of the muscle fibres in that scenario, and in all scenarios, it's the eccentric contraction which damages the muscle more than the concentric contraction. So you get more muscle growth from the controlled lengthening. So, like I said there, like, if you are aware that you're only focusing on the shortening for one exercise, you don't need to do full range of motion on every exercise, is basically what I'm saying. As long as you have the awareness that I'm focusing on the lengthening of the muscles at this point, and then on the next exercise, I might focus on the shortening. It just matters that in your sessions, most of the time, you are hitting both the shortening and the lengthening parts of that muscle. I'm just going to rattle through the next one. So will this video, if you put it into action, improve your longevity? If you understand how the muscles work, it will give you the ability to strengthen the muscles optimally. If you strengthen the muscles optimally, the muscles directly assist with the function of the joints. So, strong muscles, strong joints. Direct result of strong muscles. If you get this wrong, and if, let's say for example, for years, you haven't been training your muscles effectively, and you've slightly been off the path of the muscle fibres, and then the direct result of that is your joints are then taking a little bit of a suboptimal load in a suboptimal direction. It's not ideal. Like, you can probably imagine that the joint soreness, the joint issues that may come from that. So having this in your arsenal, literally, this is how simple it is. Flip up on your phone, check where the muscle actually is. Your lats. What direction do the fibres go? Okay, cool. So why the hell am I doing this weird exercise for my lats? Do you know what I mean? So you've got the exercises, you understand the fibres, you understand where it's attached, and you know what the muscle does. When you are training, one final nail in the coffin, the cherry on the top. The cherry on top is ensuring that you select exercises that give a balanced resistance throughout the movement. So, for example, if you pick an exercise which kind of gets the shortening but gets the lengthening in a bit of a weird way, crap. The gold standard would be you selecting exercises which provides an opportunity for you to either load the lengthened position really hard, load the shortening position really hard, and if you are doing full range of motion, it has to be an exercise which you can add resistance through the full range of motion. What I'm saying by that is stuff like cables. Cables are absolutely awesome for working the muscles through the full range of motion. However, if you filled your program up with cables, it wouldn't be ideal because you haven't got the loadability of cables. You can't really add much load to cables because you'd find that, after a couple of months, you'd probably be maxing the cables out. That's where your bench press comes in, because you can load the lengthened position a lot, and then other machines come in to really focusing on the shortening of the chest. I know I'm talking about the chest here, but it's a very easy muscle for people to empathise with. My priority is the joints. I never really see any issues with the chest and the shoulder joints. The most issues I see is people with their knees. So everything that I've mentioned here about the chest, it's all relevant to the quads, the surrounding muscles of the quads. So let's get on to the next slide. my thoughts. Like I said earlier on, most people don't know this. And most people do a few exercises they've seen on social media and hope for the best. This little bit of an understanding will give you that independence. You will look at everybody in the gym and you'll think, that you will now be able to assess whether people are doing some really good stuff or whether they're just winging it. But more importantly, you will be able to make some really positive adjustments to your own training. Like I said earlier on, coaches out there don't teach this because they want you to join their program. They want you to give them money. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. I've checked YouTube earlier on. I was like, are coaches teaching this? No, they're not. Hopefully you appreciate this level of education, a tiny little bit of a deeper dive into what the muscle does, the direction of the fibres, and the positive effects that can have on the muscles, the joints, and all that stuff. However, if it is too much for you to handle, and you just want me to tell you what to do, then I've got links in my channel, and you can apply for my program. But for the rest of you, hopefully this has given you enough knowledge and education in order to make some positive changes in your training. If you made it to the end of this video, I'm absolutely over the moon that you are taking this as seriously as me. Because when I was doing this 10 years ago, there was nobody was out there for me, teaching me. I had to learn this stuff through trial and error. It took me about 12 years until somebody who was an absolute ninja in physiotherapy and exercise rehabilitation, he was like, this is the crack. And I was like, oh my God. So, again, thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.